How's everyone today? Absolutely are. You know, it's so interesting. I always enjoy being here, and it's always so wonderful to have an introduction. I appreciate them so much. But you know, as I share with them, this is old hat for me. I can recall a time when there were no practitioners. I can recall a time when there were no soloists. And I can recall a time that I would stand here and lecture for an hour. But I'm so grateful for the evolution of our church and for all of you, for the practitioners who preceded me, and also for the very special treat today to have our own traveling evangelist, Brother Sherwood Slid. He's here somewhere. But I'm so happy to be able to stand in for Reverend Gerald today as he is away, and to share with you on this idea of great expectations. My expectation when I went to bed last night was that I would awaken today into a brand new day, a brand new moment, a day of fulfillment, and a day with the possibility filled with abundant good. I expected that I would come here today and that I would be a channel of divine revelation. That something wonderful and exciting and motivating would absolutely come through me that would bring forth a healing for someone that was here today. And although I spent a bunch of time and effort into preparation, visiting some of the old masters, reading some of their writings, and understanding some of their teachings, in the silence, however, I saw myself standing in the midst of an infinite stream of good. And while standing in that stream, I imagined that there was a flow of divine magnificence that was coming through. And as I stood there, I was able to capture some of that magnificence, feel some of that magnificence, and then be able to share the same with you. I came that I might share a blessing, but also that I might receive a blessing. I came with an expectation. What about you?
Yes.
Did you have any expectation for today?
Yes.
See, it's an exercise like that that we should find ourselves doing always if we really want something out of life. Oftentimes we claim that, you know, we want so much, we want to achieve so much, we want to do so much, we want to be so much, but we fail to do anything. And this topic that you are being a part of this month is a great one. It talks about expectation, and if there is any real expectation on your part. Now, I share with you a process that I went through last night in anticipation of coming here today, that I was going to allow myself to be a channel of the divine. And it's not just a process that we use in an instance like this. It's something that I think that we should find ourselves engaged in always, every day. If you truly want to achieve something in this great adventure that you call your life, how do you prepare yourself for it? How do you open yourself for it? You know, so often we lay claim, but we fail to act. Today, I want us to align so completely with Spirit. So I want to share an affirmation with you, and I want you to share it back with me, okay? So let's say these words together. Today I align with Spirit.
Today I align with Spirit.
I chart a new direction for myself.
I chart a new direction for myself.
Free from fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Now pause for a moment and reflect on what it is that you are saying. That you are bringing yourself in alignment with the only presence, power, and love that there is. And as you bring yourself in alignment with it, you are allowing it, as it is operating through you, to free you from the tyranny of fear, from doubt, and from uncertainty. In other words, to bring you and to set you on a course for greater fulfillment in this great adventure that we call our lives. Let's understand what we are doing when we do this. Dr. Ernest Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, he says that in the infinity of mind, There is nothing but mind and what mind does. Its operation. The mind is acted upon by our thought. And in this way, thought becomes the law of our lives. We do not create it. We use the power of the one. The power of the one mind which creates for us. Thought is the power of the law of our lives. In this infinity of mind, he says, once again, we are aligning ourselves with all that there is. There is nothing but divine mind. And when we position ourselves in a place for it to flow through us, in accordance with the ideas that we are entertaining for ourselves, something then becomes manifested in our circumstance, possibly. Now, we do this because we want to create a greater consciousness. And that's what it's all about, conscious alignment with spirit.
Yes.
To allow that which is greater than we are to use us as an avenue of its expression. Now, this word that I'm sharing with you is not the first time I've said it. And I'm not the only one who has shared it with you. But it makes no difference if you do nothing with it after you keep hearing it. It's a repetitive idea, and it's constantly shared with everyone that's here. But what do you do after hearing it? Your life can never be altered unless you act as an active participant in doing something about it. You know, it's so easy for us to sit back and to talk about the things that are happening to us. It's so easy for us to talk about the things that we would like to do, but at some point you have to become a participant in life. And therefore, I do something always, not just when I'm coming here, but whenever I'm appearing somewhere, even before going to work. Now, on tomorrow morning, I'll be at my job. And I'll do the same thing tomorrow night, or tonight rather, that I did last night. And that is come into conscious alignment with spirit. Look beyond the moment and see into tomorrow. And as I see into tomorrow, I see myself in a place, acting and doing that which is going to cause great success and great happiness. See myself motivating, inspiring, and uplifting. See myself on the road of achievement, of doing the things that are a part of my vision. What about you? Each of us have the same opportunity. And you know, the wonderful thing about Spirit, it gives to each of us equally. It doesn't identify one person in particular and say, I'm going to give you more. In other words, that you can have a greater successful life than the person over here. It pours out itself into every one of us to allow ourselves to be a channel for its expression. And therein lies the difference. Oftentimes we sit, we listen, and we do nothing. And then when we receive nothing, we have moments of depression, moments of anxiety, and great moments of disappointment. Why? Because we fail to put ourselves in a process that we know works, but we will not be an active participant in it. Where do we start? How do we start? And how do we begin such an activity? Well, it is all about what you believe.
Yes.
Clearly. It is all about what you believe. Now, once again, we'll lay claim that I believe this, that, and the other, without realizing that our beliefs are always showing. They're reflecting in all that we do as that which we call our lives. Dr. Holmes once again writes in our text, he says, it is our belief that sets the limit to the demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. Beautiful words, great prose. And any of us that are students of the science of mind, we have read it. But what do we do about our belief? Now, the principle that we're talking about here is our use of divine law. And my belief I shared with you is that I believe that by positioning myself, by aligning myself, by thinking thoughts of the things that I want to achieve and allowing Spirit to come through me, that I'm able to do just that. Now, I didn't say what I did was last night I got down on my knees and I went in prayer and I pleaded with God to do something for me, to act through me in a very perfect way. I didn't say, God, if you do this, I will do the other. I did not beseech the saints or ask the ancestors to intercede for me. I didn't do any of that craziness. I simply calmed myself, realized that there is but one power, there is but one mind. And as I align myself with it and allow myself to become an avenue of its expression, it does just that. It expresses through me. In other words, I was creating a form in consciousness for this power to take. I was visualizing an instance, this instance, where something would happen, where I would come and I would stand before you and I would be confident in what it is that I'm talking about because I know what it is that I'm talking about. I would share with you the benefit of my experience because I experienced what I'm talking about. I would share with you the teachings of the science of mind because these teachings are real.
Yes.
And they teach us for us, if we're going to have an expectation in life, then we have to be a participant in life. It's not just going to happen. Because we are not talking about magic, we are talking about law.
Yes.
And there is the law of our thinking, and that is the thoughts that we formulate in mind. They precede a word that's going to come out of our mouths. And once that word is spoken, we are setting something in action. We are setting the law of our circumstance in action, expecting that something is going to happen through us as it is happening for us. Today is our opportunity to understand what it is that we're talking about and what it is that we're doing, because Spirit can only do for us as it operates through us.
Right.
I'll say that again. Spirit can only do for us as it operates through us. We must have the consciousness for it to operate. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, he puts it this way. He said, God is the source of a mighty stream of substance, and you are the tributaries of that stream, a channel of expression. Now, I'm sure all of us have seen a stream before. We've seen rivers, this flow of water. And then we've seen how it branches off. The stream continues on its path, but yet there are little branches of the stream that go different directions. But it's all the same water.
Yes.
It is all the same thing. The stream has effects, just like God. And what are we? We are those effects of the divine. We are not God, but we are God's, small g. We are the expression of the divine. Now, going back to Charles's analogy, if you were to take a cup of water from one of the tributaries and a cup from the main artery of the stream, you will find in essence that it's the same thing. It is the same flow, it is the same water, it's the same nutriments, it's the same everything that is flowing. The same is true of us. There is but one Spirit, and it has effects. And those effects we call by our own names, each one of us. But they're at the substance of ourselves is God. And it is that is empowering us. It is that which is the life that we are living. And we provide it with a channel for which it operates in our lives. We provide the mold of the thing that we want Spirit to demonstrate in our circumstance. We are the creators of the idea. God is the fulfiller of that idea. Now, as you're sitting here listening to me, I trust that you are thinking about instances in your own circumstance of things that you want to go, things you want to achieve, great demonstrations that you want to experience. And all of it begins with change within yourself. See, we cannot continue to sit and grab a hold and treat with old ways of thinking and expect new demonstrations within our experience. At some point, evolution has to take place in our circumstance, and it begins first in our mind. Evolution first begins in the way in which we think and the thoughts that we hold true within our own consciousness. Can you recall an instance in the Bible? In this instance, Jesus was feeding the multitude. And the story goes that after this great sermon of all this great multitude of people, everyone was hungry, as we typically are after a great lesson. And so he said, what do we have? And they said, well, we have 5 loaves of bread and 3 little fishes. Now imagine that. If you're looking at what you have substantively, 5, and just with this group, imagine this church being filled and everybody's hungry, and we got 3 fish. How far was that going? Not far at all. But here's what he did. He did not look at what he had. He took what he had. He lifted it up and he gave thanks. And the story goes that what he had was multiplied, and everyone was so filled that there was a bunch left over. The lesson here is this: not to stay focused on what it is that you have, but rather be able to turn to the greater possibilities that exist before you. We can just stay singularly focused on what we have in our hand, rather than the possibility that we have within our futures. We can remain stuck in the past, or we can allow ourselves to see beyond the moment and know that there is something that is finding fulfillment within us to make that which we are seeing as our future our possibility. And that's what causes us to be possibility thinkers. That's what empowers us to know that there is something greater in store for us than what we have currently right in front of us. So we have the power to look beyond that, to energize something greater. Yesterday I was in a conversation with someone, and the whole while we were talking, the person kept focusing on so much negativity. You know, rents are just so high. And homelessness is just everywhere. And people are homeless because the rents are so high. We can't afford this, we can't afford that. The government, they're not doing enough. They got this program, but it's a sham. They're not really interested in helping people. And it went on and on and on and on. I said, what would happen if you put that energy into a new vision? You're stuck. And there's no way to get away from that, because that's all you are seeing. And you know what? And because that is all that you are seeing, the law of your thinking will continue to produce that as the result in your circumstance. You are empowering that vision. And as you are empowering that vision, law being true, it's continuing that to be that which is your experience. Can we just dare ourselves for a moment to look beyond the immediate and realize that there is something else greater in store for us? You know, we look on the news and we see the lives of so many people, and they're just so great, and all these billionaires all over the place, and I'm sure some of us would like to trade places with them at times, that we would like to have access to all that they have access to. And then, you know, and we look and we say, well, most often we have been limited for so long because of racism. And racism continues to deny us access to all of these different things. Racism continues to lock and keep us in place. Racism continues to deny us. And you know, and the longer that we perpetuate that, that's what it will do.
That's right. That's right.
That's exactly what it will do.
Right.
But at some point, we have to realize that we are greater than that.
That's right.
That we are greater than that. That does not control the vision that we have for ourselves. Does it exist? Yeah, it exists. But it's someone else's experience. And that's how we have to approach it. That I am greater than this. And that cannot deter me. How on one hand can I say that God is the greatest thing since ice cream on a stick? And it is the life within me, and yet my life is limited. Our lives are limited because limitation is a vision that we have within our own consciousness.
Right.
Limitation controls our beliefs.
Right.
When we flush all of that and let all of that go and embrace something else, then something else can happen.
Yes.
We spend too much time on limitation and not enough time on the expansiveness of spirit and its ability to bless us. You know, where we began with this moment, this idea of great expectations. And I asked the question, what was your expectation today? When you laid down last night, was there any expectation for your tomorrow? Or did you do what you so often do? You just, you looked at the time, you got in the bed, and you went to sleep. Gave no thought about the next day or the elements of the day. And tonight you may do the same thing and so forth and so on. But yet, you will claim that you want something better for yourself. You know, the last time I was here, I indicated that we are to be a revelation to those who have not yet discovered the truth.
Yes.
And how can we be that when yet we still have no expectations of ourselves? We have nothing that's going to come through us. How can we be a light when we continue to entertain darkness? Just how can that happen? I want you just to close your eyes for a moment. And with your eyes closed, I want you to create a picture in your own consciousness of an achievement. You identify what that achievement might be. And as you begin to see that, don't see the journey, but see the destination. See the unfolding, the fulfillment. Don't worry about how, who, when, or where. See the end result. And as you see the end result, ask yourself, can you believe that? Can you believe this potential? Then repeat these words after me. The power, the presence, and the law of divine mind. Lead, guide, and direct me. To that place of awareness of my divine potential. Pause for a moment. Look at the picture in your consciousness. Let's say this once again. The power, the presence, and the law of divine mind. Lead, guide, and direct me. To that place of awareness. Of my divine potential. Now exhale. And then say this. It is done unto me as I believe. Understand how that? It is done unto you as you believe. You spoke about power, the presence, and the law. You spoke of it leading, guiding, and directing you to that special place. That place of the awareness of your divine potential. But you have to believe that that is possible. That something, albeit unseen, as you quiet yourself, as you separate everything in the outer world away from yourself and commune with that which is within yourself. You are allowing it to lead, guide, and direct you to something greater. You know, as we continue to be a part of this physical experience, there's always going to be something that's going to challenge our beliefs. There's always going to be something that's going to challenge our peace. There are always going to be these things that come up, obstacles, if you will, but opportunities, rather. These things are always going to come up. But we decide whether or not we empower them or not. We empower them the more we worry. We empower them when we allow them to depress us. We empower them when we find ourselves retreating to a place of anxiety. We empower them when we allow them to upset us. But what if rather we retreated from all of that and then began to once again think that there is something greater than me that is flowing through me, that is seeking me to direct it in my circumstance. And it wants me to give it a vision, a mold, if you will, to create this form in consciousness that it will fulfill. And that fulfillment then becomes a living demonstration in my experience. Feeling, personality, place, a promotion, a job, a new place to live, whatever. There are no limits other than the limits that you give it. Once again, it is our beliefs that set the limit to a principle that is without limitation to provide great demonstrations in our experiences. What are you going to do with it? Not what your neighbor is going to do with it, not what your friends are going to do with it, not what Dr. Ronnie's going to do with it. What are you going to do with it? When you leave this moment and enter into the next, you are stepping into the next phase of your life. The past is just that. It's gone. It's past. We have moved beyond that. And as you have moved beyond that, you are now into a new future. What are you going to do? What are you going to create? How will you alter your circumstance? How will you open yourself to be more, to receive more, to do more, to give more, to be that light that you really, truly are? What is your expectation? I awakened this morning expecting today to be a day filled with good. I awakened today expecting that Spirit has already preceded me and filled my pathway with light and love and divine illumination. Does that mean that something could not come into my experience? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But it means that I don't have to empower it. The same is true. You don't have to empower it. You may leave out here today and you hear something that's sort of devastating. Your choice is to fall out or to stand up, but it's your choice. Your choice is absolutely to believe that you are empowered by all the power there is, or just to throw your hands up and surrender and run and retreat. The choice is yours. The theme this month is great expectations. What are you expecting in your life? Peace and blessings to you this morning.